1 out of 2 Americans suffers at some point from a mental health challenge. And when you realize that something is that common, you feel more free to talk about it.
The county librarian reached out and asked whether or not we could provide some training for some of her staff.
There's a lot of problem behavior happening in the library. Maybe there's something the library can do about that with behavioral health.
Just on appropriate ways of interacting with people with mental health challenges.
A lot of library employees, they're not prepared for having to handle this type of thing because the need is tremendous.
Perhaps a patron will come in having a mental health crisis, whether they're suicidal, whether they're acting out, being disruptive. One of the challenges that staff had here was, how do I approach this person? Is there something that I can do before I just pick up the phone and call 911?
We wanted to strengthen that relationship and say, hey, you can be a point of access. This is what we can do for you, and this is how your understanding of our services will benefit those individuals in your library.
And so we have provided training in terms of de-escalation.
We had a better understanding of how to approach people.
Verbal techniques, recognizing when someone may be escalating and when it may be time to get professional help to come in.
It was about raising awareness about mental health in general to help decrease stigma. One thing that I learned from him, I think in our very first conversation, is that
the challenge is making sure that people are getting the services, and that stigma may stop someone from walking into a building that says behavioral health on it because they're worried about what others will think. But if you're coming to the library and you happen to pass the board that talks about the local resources or check out one of the new books.
We now have green ribbons throughout the library to showcase library books, especially dedicated to people who have an interest in learning about the lives of people with mental illness.
That can help you understand what's going on or better support a loved one. We're all for that because going into a library isn't stigmatized as it is to walk into a healthcare center. Part of the project was to not only train the staff, but then also bring in our staff and talk about how you access services, how you access crisis services.
just the other day, someone came in and they said, where's the mental health office in the county? And I could answer that just as, well, here's a map and here's where, this office is located. But can I help you find, some services? Because of that, I was able to get her on the phone with the behavioral health crisis line because it turned out she did feel she was in sort of an emergency situation. Instead of just saying, okay, it's 2 miles that way, here are the directions, to recognize from our training that we have a Butte County resource by phone that we could offer to the person in the library right now, and that it could make a really big difference for her.
What is really fantastic about being in a small county, in a rural county, is that we see our problems as communal problems.
This is how public agencies should work. You invite people to the table and you don't discredit anyone.
I think every library should have this. It really is helpful to people.
It took the mental health challenge from this picture of a few people with unruly behavior to 80% of people using these materials needed some help, and they found it through something they got at the library.